Hi everyone, thank you for joining us here today. Welcome to the Amazon Career Panel. Just a few logistical announcements before we begin. We recognize that there's a lot of sound inputs going on, so there are headphones on your seats if you would like for you to have a clearer sound, as well as if you need live captioning. There is a QR code that you can scan on the banner for live captioning, and we also have amazing BSL interpreters with us today. So if there's any other support that you would need, please let us know, and we have people who will support you as well. I'm Atika Malina. I'm a Senior DEI, Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Program Manager in Amazon. My personal pronouns are she and her. I've been diagnosed with a panic disorder, and currently I am a Muslim woman wearing a hijab. I'm wearing a red dress today, and I'm really, really happy to be with all of you here today. Now, you can see that I'm not here alone on this panel. I have some really amazing people with me who's equally excited to be sharing with all of you. So I'm going to ask them to also introduce themselves, their roles, and we can go on from there. Jürgen, would you like to begin?
Love to. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jürgen Donaldson. My pronouns are he, him. I am a white man in his pre-40s. I am wearing a gilet, a light blue shirt and gold trousers. My role at Amazon is I am the Workforce Staffing, Community Engagement, Disability Inclusion Program Manager, which is a long way of saying I work on helping our disabled community find roles in our operations business.
Hey, Alex Perkins. My personal pronouns are he, him. I am a white man in my 30s. I have brown hair and I'm wearing a black Amazon top today. My job title is the manager of the Workforce Community Engagement Team, which again is a long way, which we like doing at Amazon, of saying we're part of a recruitment team that supports unemployed and underrepresented talent pools to access our job opportunities.
Thanks everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Jackie Sampson and my pronouns are she, her. I am a white woman. I am the wrong side of 40, and today Jürgen and I received the same memo of what we were going to wear. I am also wearing beige trousers and a blue shirt. My job title is I'm a Director of Workforce Staffing, which means I lead our functions that resource our operations teams for our entry-level warehousing and logistics roles across Europe.
All right, thank you everyone for introducing yourselves, and thank you everyone for joining us. And for those of you who are still considering whether you want to sit or not, please come and join us. We're happy to have you. And really today what we're here to talk about is to discuss about accessing career opportunities at Amazon. And at Amazon we have a lot of key leadership principles, and one of the key leadership principles that we have is to strive to be Earth's best employer. And that is really about making sure that we're working to make Amazon a much safer, a much more diverse, and as well as a much more accessible place to work at. And so a big part of that is to really make sure that we're increasing our ability to be accessible to anybody who wants to build their career for us and with us. So my first question to the panel today is, could you share a bit about what does inclusive hiring mean to all of you?
So certainly for me, inclusive hiring means giving all of us a chance. It means that for me as a blind man and for all of our disabled communities, that we should be able to consider Amazon as an employer where we know we'll get a fair shot. All of us who are disabled will know we've all had that moment ahead of applying for a job where we've considered, do I tell them I'm disabled? What I really want when I think about Amazon is to know that we're a company where someone can feel comfortable to say, I'm disabled. Now, I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying that it shouldn't be something that you have to worry about. We should be a company where inclusion means that anyone can tell us who they are from the moment they apply.
Yeah, thanks, Jürgen. So to me, when I think about this, it means representation. The very first conversation I remember having with Jürgen was about the representation of disabled people in the workplace and the fact that disabled people are underrepresented in work, and that some of the ambitious goals the team had. Jürgen said to me as part of that interview, yeah, disabled people make up 15% of the working age population, but they absolutely don't make up 15% of the workforce, and that's what we should be striving for. So to me, when I think about disability inclusion, it's all about representation.
Some great feedback from the team there. For me, inclusive hiring means that people feel valued. People feel valued for their expertise. People feel valued for their potential, their future contribution, and their unique experiences as well. And through that, through feeling valued, they also know that an accommodation, a reasonable adjustment isn't a barrier. It's seen as an opportunity to be able to make opportunities accessible and to make that person's potential come alive.
Yeah, and that's really interesting that you mentioned about the accommodations and the accessibility, because what we do know is Amazon is quite a behemoth of a company. There's so many different business lines, there's so many different jobs. So Jackie, this is to you. As a director at Amazon, what are your thoughts about how does diversity play then into Amazon's hiring strategy?
I'm going to start with the cliche, which is that every company wants great talent. Of course they want great talent, right? That's why it's a bit of a cliche. But I'm going to take that back and think, why do organizations, and particularly Amazon, want great talent? It's because organizations want to be successful. What does success mean within Amazon? We say we're a very customer-obsessed organization, and we have over 300 million unique customers across the globe. So translate into that, what does that mean? It means we have many, many millions of disabled customers. So if we want to obsess about our customers, our talent internally needs to reflect our customers. Our talent then needs to think about, how do we make products and services that resonate and add value to our customers' lives? So if we include that in our hiring strategy and think about how our people can influence and make greater accessibility to our products and services, that contributes towards our end goals as an organization. And I think a great example of that is thinking about our devices, for example. So we did some research that looked at 77% of disabled people use a device to help them with everyday day-to-day tasks. So if you think about that in an Amazon perspective, it could be an Echo, it could be a Fire tablet, it could be a Kindle e-reader. But in that same piece of research, we also had a lot of feedback about some opportunities, I should say, about how we could make some of the features much more accessible. So the contribution that a user, a disabled person can have to think about how we make our products more accessible, there's a flywheel of thinking about how that talent can contribute towards our growth and making our products better and delight our customers more. So going back to what I said, every company wants great talent. We want great talent, but we also value the talent in our hiring strategy as to what that means to making our products and services better, and therefore providing opportunities for great people, as I said, to bring their unique experiences to the workplace.
Yeah, it's really great that you mentioned about people coming in with everything that who they are and then adding value as who they are and not necessarily needing to change who they are to fit in. And I think a big part of coming as who they are and bringing in value is, as a company, Amazon needs to be a lot more accessible for them to show up as who they are as well. So this question is to Alex. Alex, what steps have been taken to make Amazon more accessible then?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I've been in my role for just over 4 years now, and I can say like it's been a huge kind of personal and professional development opportunity for me to understand more about the disabled community and the accessibility needs of disabled people looking to join Amazon. A number of years ago, our thinking was all about how we supported specific disability groups into some of our roles, and how we could make specific adjustments to help and support them. And we developed a lot over the last 4 years to think about, actually, we want to be accessible to any job seeker who's looking to come and join us. And what could be put in place to make sure that we achieve that? One of the big things that we did in the last couple of years was add specialist roles looking at disability inclusion into the way that we were structured. So, for example, Jürgen joining us last year, Naomi Johnson, you'll find about today, who's our disability inclusion expert for diversity, equity, inclusion. We also have, that launched in the UK last year, the Disability Leave Services team, which is, as part of their service, have a candidate adjustment team that candidates can reach out to for support during the application process. So when I think about like the steps that we've taken to become more accessible, adding these expert roles and these expert teams has been a huge step forward. In any other business area, if you want to advance something and move it forward, you add people with specialist expertise, and that's what we've done in disability inclusion. Of course, we're not there yet, but those are the kind of the big steps that I feel like we've taken.
Yeah, that's a really important point that you mentioned about how we are on a journey, and how, you know, in the past 4 years you yourself have seen the steps that we've taken, and a big part of that is to embrace and have expert opinions, and so experts in the team. And one of that is you, Jürgen. All right. I'm very excited to say that. I'm also really excited to have Jürgen on the team, just to be clear. But Jürgen, as a blind employee going through the entire process, could you share with us what was your experience joining Amazon, and did these steps help you?
So my journey of initially trying to join Amazon probably went back about 2.5 years ago. And the first time I tried to join Amazon, it didn't actually go very well, because when I tried to apply, it turned out that the application process wasn't accessible, which wasn't a great experience. And for a moment, it made me think about whether Amazon was a company I wanted to work in, whether I could work there. And the thing I'm glad about is a friend of mine who worked at Amazon said, look, give it another go, give it a try. And I did apply, and it was accessible, and I tried again. And then actually, one day, on my first day in my last job, I got a phone call from a recruiter at Amazon saying, hey, I've got this job, and what they're really looking for is lived experience matched with recruitment experience. And that was really exciting. And I'll tell you one reason for why to begin with. If you went back 30 years ago, blind people were told there was 2 jobs they could do. One of them was piano tuner, the other was basket weaver. Now, I can tell you that I would be terrible at both of those, which didn't excite me about my career prospects. So when I kind of came into the Amazon process, the thing that really helped me was that the candidate accommodation team, when I was worried about using the video conferencing system, they did an extra session to help me figure it out. When I wasn't sure how much to say about my disability at each interview, they helped me to figure out what I wanted to say. When I was faced with the idea that I was going to have a certain number of interviews in a day, and I said, that's a little much, they helped me spread it out over a number of days. And the key thing was, they listened to me. They listened to what I needed, what I wanted, what they could do to give me the best opportunity to succeed. And, you know, I'm pleased to say that all of those things made for a really accessible journey into Amazon. And the point I'll finish on, and for anyone here who knows the joys of access to work, don't all say it at once how good it is, but on my day one, got my laptop, opened my laptop, and it had JAWS. So anyone who doesn't know, JAWS is a technology that helps people who are blind to be able to use a laptop, text-to-speech. And normally, for most of us, that is like a 2 or 3 week battle when you start a job. And to have that from day one was just massive.
That is incredible. I think 2 things really came out to me as you were sharing that. One is this equal partnership where you co-created an interview experience and an onboarding experience that worked for you, right? And I think that also required you to be able to communicate and express your needs, and an ability for the recruitment team to also accept and be open to that and give you that support. So that's really important and key. And I think the thing about you being able to have JAWS on your laptop on the very first day was a preemptive thing, and I feel as if Alex wants to say something.
Because this covers, as the hiring manager, some of the things that I felt like I learned during that process, which were really interesting. First, Jürgen mentions listening to the candidate, which is something I didn't do brilliantly first off. I made an educated guess myself and an assumption that because it wasn't relevant for I thought it wasn't relevant for the other interviewers to know that Jürgen was blind, I didn't tell them. And that led to a few surprises during that process. However, having then spoken to Jürgen afterwards, I realized I probably should have done that. But we then started to have some of the conversations about, okay, what do you need? Now you've been successful after the interviews, what would help you on day one? And that was a massive moment for me to actually have the conversation with the individual and the person you're supporting and say, look, what could help? What would you like from this? I should have done that before, and that was when I talked earlier about personal, professional growth. That was one for me.
Yeah, I mean, that was and that's where a lot of people are on that journey, right? So thank you for sharing that. And that really segues into my next question, which is, it's one thing to be able to join a company. It's another thing to be there, be accepted, and thrive, right? And I'm assuming you're thriving. You're here with Alex. You're looking good. But this is for you, Jackie. How are you at Amazon ensuring that disabled employees can then thrive?
It's a great question, and I'd say there's not a simple answer, because you've mentioned we're a behemoth as an organisation. What we're getting really good at is individual interactions, individual support, individual adjustments and accommodations. What we're working really hard at is how we scale that to make sure that we've got consistency and accessibility across the many, many different parts of our organisation. I think we've got some fantastic success stories. We've already talked about the specialist teams that we have with our disability leave services that are able to provide personalised support to people. But that doesn't just extend, as Jürgen mentioned, to him as first a candidate and then secondly as an employee, or then for Alex saying for me as a hiring manager, but also for all of the other people that an employee would interact with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. That support is there throughout someone's journey. We have peer-to-peer support as well. We have some really fantastic affinity groups within Amazon. Our people with disabilities, our PWD affinity group, neurodiversity, etc. And our affinity groups are not just for people who identify with that group. We actively encourage many people to join that for learning, professional growth, networking, but also when I talk about networking, that's also about opening up internal career opportunities. So our talent management program is very proactive, but also we really encourage networking and that peer-to-peer support so that people feel that they have access to wider opportunities than just the opportunity that they joined Amazon for as well. So our talent management and our growth is very focused for anyone who joins Amazon, but for somebody who's a person with a disability, we feel that we've got the opportunity to continue to build on where someone might want to explore different pathways or have different considerations as to the things that they want to do, the skills that they want to gain, and the support that they might need in order to be able to do that. So we've got lots still to do. Our ability to do those things better is very much based on the participation and the feedback that we get from the people who are within that and who are going through that and saying, hey, here's what I want, here's what I need, here's how I can contribute towards that success, and here's how we can inform how we can improve in those areas as well.
I'm actually going to add a question that we hadn't prepared for, because I think that that's
Oh, here we go.
good then.
Here we go. Who's it for, Attica, first of all?
It's for anybody. But it's also about, when we talk about being able to thrive, it's one thing about the systems, but it's also another thing, it's about the community. And I was wondering whether any of you, and I guess Jürgen, you might be best placed, but also anybody else, is how does the community play into a person's ability to thrive in Amazon?
I personally feel like within Amazon, it's not that you have to build community, say within the disabled community, to thrive. I think the support that's there is built into everything that we do. So I absolutely have built my own internal network of disabled friends that I rely on to help me sometimes navigate Amazon. Naomi being a really good example of one. But I think what's helped me personally to thrive within Amazon is a recognition of people wanting to learn about what I need. So a really good example would be, I recently went on a leadership development course, which was great. What was even better was that 2 weeks before that, I had emails and phone calls going, how can we make sure you have the best experience? It wasn't a trainer trying to decide that, well, I know what accessibility is, so I know everything. They wanted to know what they could do to help me. What was the environment? What were the things I was going to need to do to make the best out of it? Those are the things that help disabled people to thrive, is that you don't just feel that, well, we've given you a job, congratulations, now sit over there. It's that sense of, you've got a job, now decide where you want to go.
Yeah, it's really this sense of ownership and also insisting on the higher standards, not just for our customers, but also for our own employees. And I think that you've really hit it on the nail in terms of people really going above and beyond and making sure that they're not assuming things for you. And I think that's something that Alex also mentioned about going beyond assuming and actually co-creating that experience together. Is there anything else anybody wanted to add for that? Or we good? Okay. I know I just thought that was a great opportunity to actually have that question. But again, this is also still to you and also to the rest. What are some of the examples of what else Amazon is doing to make roles more accessible?
So I think we're doing two major things. I think on one end, we're recognizing that hiring disabled people isn't about purely having a program saying, look at us, well done, we're recruiting disabled people for this job. It's about building a recruitment program, building a way of recruiting intrinsically within the business that means disabled people have the equal chance to succeed. That you succeed based on whether you're good at something, not whether you have a disability or not. And that's got to be the foundation of it. That we strive to create a pan-disability culture and organization by ensuring that our recruitment infrastructure allows for it. The other side of it is, to a degree, about educating disabled communities about the opportunities that are available, and doing that in one way through creating programs and initiatives that demonstrate it. So if I said to this audience that within our warehouses we have blind associates, as a blind person, before I worked at Amazon, I would not believe that, but it's true. We have created mechanisms, we've created ways of working within our warehouses that make it completely possible for a blind person who wants to work there to do so. And ultimately, that is the key thing. It's the person deciding where they want to work and what they want to do. The key part of that is that we would also recognize that sometimes you have to go further. You know, we work with an organization called Project Search to build supported internships to help those with a learning disability leaving college to make the transition to work. We built a partnership recently with the Down Syndrome Association, where we are shortly going to have the first participants in that program starting within our business. And that's where it then comes to. It's two-ended. It's how you build your recruitment mechanisms overall, and what do you do to talk to disabled communities.
It's really critical that you pointed out that it is a system thing, making sure that the entire process and framework and mechanism works for everybody and not just for the few. And also, I think the second point you mentioned, it really illustrates how agency and self-dignity actually is really critical, because you're empowering isn't even the right word, but you are giving space and making space for the disabled community to speak for what they need and co-create something, versus we tell you what is good for you and therefore you should be thankful, right? So it's really a shift.
Self-determination.
Self-determination is the word. Thank you very much. English isn't my first language. No, but it's that idea of self-determination, self-dignity is really critical to make sure that they are a really part of our community as well. Now, Alex, this is to you. What advice will you give other employers looking to progress in this space?
Yeah, good question. Thanks. So, I always feel like this is our first time kind of stepping out in this space and saying, yeah, we are an inclusive employer and we want to sponsor, the employability zone at the Disability Expo. This has been a number of years to get to this point. We didn't just decide it spur of the moment. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of thinking about our processes and the support structures we had in place to get here. So really, my advice for other employers is take those steps and go on that journey. Start listening to the people you're trying to recruit and support. Think about at every step of the employment life cycle, how can they gain that support? How can they reach out to somebody if needed? What are your steps to get to a yes on adjustments for candidates, for associates, for employees who join your business? And really spend that time listening and think about what the other support areas are that you can get from external organisations that you can partner with. Jürgen's already mentioned Project Search for supported internships. There are, when we kind of first started out, we worked really closely with the RNID, the Royal National Institute of the Deaf, and got them to help assess some of our processes for accessibility. And I think that's really important, is to listen to experts. Don't jump straight in thinking this is your good news story, your project. It's not about that. You'll get it right, and you can do some of this stuff later on down the line if you start slow, listen, think about the support for the individuals, then you'll be able to really speak about your journey later on.
If I could just add to that, I think one of the biggest things as employers we have to recognize is that we can spend a lot of time in the shadows not wanting to talk about being disability inclusive because we're worried that we're not quite there yet. But actually, one of the biggest things you can do is to step out and say, we want to be disability inclusive. We recognize that we're not there yet, and we're here to listen to disabled communities to figure out how we can do better.
Yeah, and sorry, we're going back and forth now.
Go for it.
Thinking about something like Disability Confident, which we've taken a kind of, that's not been our goal to progress through the levels. It's been about actually how do we make sure we're hitting all the support areas first, and then to progress, which we're now doing, and working actively with the Department of Work and Pensions on that scheme and about how it can better represent the needs that the customers it's trying to support. But it feels similar, right? If you can start on that journey, and you're absolutely right, Jürgen, it's not about hiding that you're trying to do this. It's about saying, look, we really want to do this. We want to hear what you need. And even if you don't have every support structure in place already, then actually, if you say it to begin with, you say we want to be disability inclusive, then you're starting with the right intent.
Yeah, it is about making that first commitment, and then that is the first step to move forward with that confidence, right? Because, like so many of you mentioned, Amazon didn't get to this point overnight. It took a really long journey. There was a lot of learnings that we've had along the way, and we've added on experts as we go along. And I think one thing as well that I got from what you shared was actually also looking around the room and seeing who's not there, and also seeing who needs to be there to be able to make reliable, informed decisions for communities and not doing that on their behalf. So I think that's also a really critical one. Jackie, the last question really, I want you to be able to speak to this. What do you want potential candidates to know about working at Amazon?
It's a neat segue from what Jürgen and Alex have just been talking about. And I could answer this question and make it sound like a job advert and sound really inauthentic, but a bit of a sales pitch, and aren't we wonderful, come and join Amazon. And I think everyone would look at me with a pretty healthy degree of skepticism. I'll be really honest, like there are a lot of preconceptions about what Amazon is like as an employer. I think it would be fair then to assume that for a disabled person there would be a degree of skepticism and preconception about what Amazon is like as an inclusive employer. We've spent a very short period of time today talking about the journey that we're on to become and be an inclusive employer and our belief in that. And it's not a tick box, it's not a corporate social responsibility point. I go back to what I said earlier. For us, it's a symbiotic relationship with mutual beneficiaries as the employer and an employee. We're an employer who values talent to achieve our growth. We want talented people to join Amazon with their unique experiences to contribute to that success. So how does that mean as an employer? It means we value people. It means we have great opportunities. It means that we value them to be able to make us better in this space as well. But we still have a long way to go. We don't want to make our assumptions ourselves. We want people to join us and be part of that equally. I said I didn't want to make it sound like a sales pitch. It kind of does. It's difficult to answer that question without it being a sales pitch. We can talk to you about it. We've got the stand around the corner. We're going to be here for the rest of the day as well. But there's a lot of everyone would have their individual questions and their individual assumptions. We could spend here all day talking about them and helping make sure that we present a really true picture of who we are. But I want people to. I'd like this to be the sort of the starting point of that dialogue for people to be able to speak to us, to understand who we are, what we do, and feel that the value, like I said, that we feel that people bring to us.
Yeah, sorry, just a really quick addition again. I'm clearly talking too much, but just a reflection and like a call to action to anyone listening to us, because I bet there's people thinking still, yeah, but I bet not me. I bet you couldn't make it accessible for me. Just come and try us. Come and have a conversation with us. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then visit our website, visit the page that we have, and just have a look. Reach out to us by email if you're more comfortable, or on LinkedIn. All our details are here. Just I guess a call to action for anyone who's thinking, I'm still not sure, I still don't know. Completely fair, and we understand why. But try us out.
And if I can just say one thing, we're not asking you to trust us. We're just asking you to give us a go.
I feel that I should not add anything else to that. But thank you everyone for your inputs for that, because I think that's really critical to also be humble and to really be honest with everyone that we're also on a journey. We're nowhere near perfect. And the thing is to be able to be even better and to work even better with the disabled communities is that we need to work together. And that is what we invite you to do. Come and have a conversation with us. We have our stand over next to the stage. We have wonderful people ready to have a conversation with you. But also, what I do hope that you get from this is that when we talk about accessing career opportunities in Amazon, we do want to say that Amazon is really for everybody. And if right now we're not for everybody yet, that's the work that we need to do. And we need the feedback to be able to do even better. And so we're really excited to be working with all of you, and we're excited to have a conversation with all of you one-on-one if you have any questions. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to the panel for your really, really insightful and authentic answers. And thank you, everyone, for being here with us today. I hope it was insightful, and looking forward to take any questions at this act. Thank you, everyone.